What do you get when a city spends over $500 million to stop 2 sports teams from leaving, just to renovate a building that already exists? This is Capital One Arena. It's getting a massive overhaul, high-end suites, a glowing facade, and so much more. But behind all the renderings and ribbon cuttings is a story about politics, displacement, and whether any of this actually benefits the city. Because this renovation isn't just about the Wizards and Capitals. It's about DC's identity, and who gets left behind when billion-dollar deals get made. Today, we're on the ground in Washington, D.C., breaking down the project, the costs, and why this fight over one arena could shape the future of the downtown area. In the early 1990s, the site of Capital One Arena was anything but vibrant. A superblock between 6th and 7th Street and F and G Streets had languished since the 1960s, when urban renewal swept through and leveled dozens of small businesses and residences. By the early 90s, ambitious plans for a mixed-use complex, retail, offices, apartments, and hotel had quietly collapsed, leaving a void in DC's urban fabric. Enter Abe Pollin. Already owner of the NBA's Washington Bullets and NHL's Capitals, Pollin saw potential where others saw risk. In the late 90s, he committed to building an arena on that vacant block rather than opting for cheaper land in Maryland. His private investment, $200 million, or roughly $400 million in today's dollars, covered much of the construction costs. The district spent about $79 million on land acquisition, demolition, and metro station enhancements, then leased the site to Pollin for a token $300,000 per year. In December 1997, the arena opened amid fanfare and hope. On one level, it worked. Storefronts filled in, foot traffic surged, and this area of downtown finally felt alive after years of hollow promise. But at what cost? DC's historic Chinatown, already dwindling since the 1970s, absorbed the shockwaves. Before construction, the neighborhood housed more than 3,000 Asian American residents in a cluster of family-run shops. Fast forward to today, and there are only a few hundred residents left. Some property owners cheered as their real estate values soared, but for many residents and small business operators, the arena symbolized displacement masked as progress. Despite this, the venue has grown to be somewhat of a staple in the DC area, and it came as a bit of a surprise in June 2023 when it was reported that the new owners of the Wizards and Capitals was considering moving the 2 teams to a new arena in the National Landing area of Arlington if the DC government did not invest in upgrades to the arena and surrounding area. And although many people did not agree, DC announced a deal supporting the massive upgrade to the venue, and more on the controversy in a minute. Construction officially began in December 2024 and is divided into 6 phases over 3 consecutive summers, ensuring that the arena stays open during NBA and NHL seasons and that the bulk of heavy work happens when the rink and court are dark. On paper, the upgrades read like a blueprint for elevating every aspect of the fan experience. In reality, it's an exercise in logistical gymnastics aimed at doubling pedestrian flow capacity, expanding amenities, and integrating cutting-edge technology, all while retaining a usable venue year-round. The building's footprint will balloon from 900,000 to 1.6 million square feet by annexing space from the neighboring Gallery Place complex, yet seating remains locked at roughly 20,000, underscoring a shift towards spacious concourses and wider aisles. Vertical circulation jumps from 11 to 22 escalators and elevators, reducing bottlenecks that once forced fans to queue for minutes just to reach their seats. Upper-level social decks will transform once sterile overhangs into gathering spots, incentivizing early arrival and extended stays. Outside, the arena will don a new cultural veil, a dynamic facade inspired by the Smithsonian's architecture. ETFE panels, structural glass cable walls, and aluminum curtain systems will wrap the exterior in a surface that shifts colors to mark a Capitals playoff run or a Wizards late-season push. New entrances will be closer to the metro, with canopy roofs easing arrival in rain or shine. It's an attempt not just to modernize, but to integrate the building more fully with the street grid, reversing the superblock mentality of the past. Inside, premium revenue is king. The vaults are slated to open in the 2025-26 season. Private seats for up to 20 guests, each with its own lobby, elevator, bar, and tasting room. Ownership guarantees access to every event. games, concerts, even political conventions, creating a micro-community of elite patrons. Beyond the vaults lies the United Globe Club, a 2-level hospitality venue for over 800 VIPs, offering all-you-can-eat and drink service. But it's not all about glitz. The project is relocating 350,000 square feet of offices and storage to an adjacent property, freeing the area's interior for athlete-focused upgrades. Locker rooms will expand by 66%, featuring hydrotherapy pools, massage suites, and climate-controlled lounges. The goal is clear: faster turnaround between practices and games, fewer logistical headaches, and a new recruiting pitch to pull athletes in. But before you get too excited, let's talk about some of the negative. For all its ambition, the renovation has become a lightning rod for debate about who really benefits when public money underwrites private facilities. The deal is as follows. Monumental Sports and Entertainment, the entity that owns the Wizards and Capitals, will pay $285 million toward the deal. The rest, $515 million, will be sourced from the city. Now, public funding for sports stadiums is a topic that's all too familiar for consistent viewers of this channel. DC's commitment, not to mention the earlier amount spent in the 90s, has opponents asking, why should taxpayers bankroll billionaire-owned sports franchises? Independent economic research on stadium subsidies paints a skeptical picture. Most spending at arenas simply displaces other local entertainment dollars, yielding little net gain. On the other side are unions and city officials who argue that the cost of inaction would be far higher. Losing the Wizards and Capitals threatens a $1 billion annual economic engine and nearly 1.5 million pedestrian trips that support restaurants, hotels, parking garages, and transit. DC's own impact study estimates 4,900 construction jobs and $21 million in new tax revenues during the renovation phase. From this perspective, the public investment is insurance against job flight and corporate relocation. Another major concern tied to this renovation is its potential impact on nearby small businesses. Picture a family-run restaurant just a block from the arena. As the redevelopment attracts new private investment, property values are likely to rise, and with them, rents. This can force mom-and-pop type businesses out, who probably already operate on thin margins. And unless you're a nationally recognized name, it's unlikely that foot traffic from the arena will translate to a surge in customers. In fact, increased competition may do just the opposite. And in this environment, landlords who are eyeing higher returns may prefer leasing to big brands over local operators. It's a scenario that Chinatown residents have brought up for years. Is that simply the free market at work, or something less fair? That's up to you to decide. These tensions, public subsidy versus private gain, job creation versus small business hardship, are not unique to DC. They illustrate the larger stadium game dynamic in US cities, where the specter of team relocation prompts politicians to cut deals that often defy economic orthodoxy. Despite a body of academic work warning against such giveaways, the allure of preserving civic pride and avoiding an angry electorate keeps the conveyor belt of stadium subsidies spinning. In case you're curious about progress, here's where we're at today. Phase 2 is currently underway, which includes the locker room upgrades. Phase 3 will start later this year and will primarily consist of the escalators and the new entrance. Phase 4 is set to begin in the summer of 2026, which will include all the exterior work. Finally, phases 5 and 6 will begin in late 2026 and mid-2027, and will focus mostly on club-level seating and other interior work. When the dust settles, both figuratively and literally, DC will have a state-of-the-art arena unlike any other in North America. But the real question is this: will this really be a good deal for the city? In the end, Capital One Arena's transformation will stand as both a triumph of design and engineering, and a cautionary tale of community trade-offs that few urban projects can escape. That's quietly moving your personal information behind the scenes. Data brokers are part of a massive, largely unregulated industry that profits by collecting and selling your private data. Your name, email, home address, shopping habits, browsing behavior, and even your estimated income. These companies often operate without your knowledge, and their databases are used by marketers, insurance firms, and even background check services. That's where Incogni comes in. Incogni is a powerful privacy tool that works automatically on your behalf to send legally binding removal requests to the companies buying and trading your personal information. Once you sign up, it starts working in the background, tracking which data brokers are active and keeping the pressure on until your details are deleted. Removing your information manually from these databases would take weeks, if not months, of paperwork and emails. Incogni handles it all for you, and it keeps going even after the first wave of removals because new data brokers keep appearing all the time. If you value your privacy and want to reduce your risk of identity theft, spam, and unwanted tracking, Incogni is a smart and proactive defense. Click the link in the description or the pinned comment and use the code BUILDCORE to get 60% off an annual plan. That's Incogni, automated data protection that actually works.